brewer.
All right, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call this evening will show all members present. Thank you for coming out on this chilly evening, and guests that are here with us tonight too. We have an agenda in front of us. Any additions or corrections this evening?
I guess just the one clarification under the consent agenda, you've been informed or given you information on the district data and enrollment service. That is part of the consent agenda.
Sure.
And it should be on your documents, but making sure that's noted, that's on there.
Appreciate that. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Also move.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Shunrock, seconded by Ms. De La Cruz to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't believe we have any public comments this evening,
Correct.
so we'll move right into the superintendent's report. Mr. Myhock, please.
And I'll pass it along to our admin team. I guess who's first on that list?
The children one.
The children.
Always save the best for first.
Wasn't there a walk on water comment somewhere?
That's good. I can't
Yeah,
swim,
bring
so
that.
That's right.
we actually don't have a whole lot coming up. We finished our year-end quarter semester celebration here on Friday, where we give the students about an hour and a half of free run of the building and planning activities, and I needed a nap afterwards, but the kids are a lot of smiles that afternoon, so that was good. Next week we do have our conference week, and so there's, you know, the flex schedule Monday through Friday, and teachers will schedule parents, and we've had pretty good turnout for that. And I think the last time I did the number, we were on that 93–94% in the fall for parent attendance. So still not 100%, which is should always be our goal, but we're hopefully get there at some point. And then just coming up February is Read Across America month, and we'll have guest speakers and guest readers coming in on every Friday, and we usually close that out in the first or second, however the calendar works out, Friday in March, doing our green eggs and ham breakfast once again. That brings in 600 people that we feed breakfast to. So some fun things coming up, but we got to get through February to get there. So, any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Not really important.
Mr. Berg, enlighten us.
Oh, I can. First of all, DECA, I'm not going to take Mike's thunder here, but we had a great representation by our DECA students in the competition, and I'll let him speak a little more on that. And in our second quarter, first semester, today we had our staff development day. We will have a second quarter celebration coming up. Ideally it'd be tomorrow morning, but with grades, we don't have all the grades in, so we can't do the A honor, B honor, all that, and honor them that way. So we'll do it most likely next week sometime. Okay. We've got one act play coming up. Their sections are February 1st. We've got Gopher Conference Honor Band and Choir, which will be next weekend, January 31st and the 1st. All kinds of FFA competitions. I think 3 days this week. They're all Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so they've got a lot of competitions coming up. Snow Week is coming up February 3rd through 8th. I know they have the court now, and Mrs. Ressler will be finalizing what we're doing throughout the week. And last, the band group turned out great. I know it wasn't ideal for Seth and our students, but they persevered. They're all moved in, they're ready to go, and they'll be there in the morning. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berg.
Welcome, Macy.
Thank you. All right. Early childhood screening, we have a couple dates coming up, March and April. Pretty much just status quo there. Preschool open house, we're doing the same thing we did last year. March 17th from 6 to 7 in New Richland. And then March 19th, we are doing 4:15 to 5:15 just to give the parents a variety. Parents can sign up in either location to register their children for preschool. Otherwise, ECFE registration's coming up. We have grandparents night next Tuesday. There's a lot of people coming for that. We've got 29 sets of grandparents right now coming, which is the most we've ever had, so I'm super excited about that. Otherwise, school age care was open this Monday and Tuesday over the break. Student enrichment, same types of classes that we're offering. We do have a new one called Braided Masterminds that Deb Bentley is running here in Ellendale after school. That's once a month. And then we are doing a landscape painting instruction with Brady Kupel, one of our high school students in New Richland. He did his first class last Friday night, and I was able to take that, and he is just unbelievable. I highly recommend if you guys ever want to learn how to paint, and I'm not a painter. Like, I can almost do anything else but painting, and they turned out so beautifully. I even had my 11-year-old daughter come with just to see if a child could take the class too. And she's very artsy, but she did it fantastic too. So we've actually decided to open it up to kids 11 through 14 with an adult, and then 15 and over, because he is just amazing at that. Otherwise, we are doing music lessons with Seth Schaefer as well. And adult rec, adult enrichment is the same, you know, with the exception of that additional class. Otherwise, we have mini Hoopers. That was new this year. Annika's doing 1st and 2nd grade. I think it's 4 or 5 Sundays throughout winter with those kids. I want to say, I might be getting some numbers mixed up, but I think there's close to 28 kids in that, and they had they were able to go to youth night during one of the varsity games. Other than that, we had a softball pitching camp this last Saturday, and lots of good stuff going on, lots of fun stuff. You guys have any questions? All right, thank you.
Good, thank you,
Thank
Mason.
you.
And Mr. Tepetz would have left his notes, or the notes are included, and he had an engagement tonight, so he could be with us, so. If there's no questions for them, first and foremost on my list is, we've had our share, and probably so, of board members being recognized. That for those that didn't hear, and Deb, you should pay attention to this too, because we have pictures and everything for
The paper.
It's
Rick's,
funny when I talk about it, it's
Rick's acknowledgement or recognition he received at the MSBA conference. It was Rick's, it's 300 hours, 300 units of training that Rick has participated in. If it's different, I suppose the phase training, the different conferences that he's registered for and whatnot. And then they did have like a 20-year and a 30-year, and so Rick was recognized for that accomplishment, his longevity on the school board and being part of the association. And also, Aaron Phillips was recognized for his completion of the phase training. So he got mentioned at the banquet as well, and we have a certificate that they provided for Aaron. So congratulations.
Right.
Did you get anything? No. You got a watch or something?
Yeah, I
put some Rolex. Yeah, that's what I thought.
You want to answer that?
Sorry.
Tell them you're in a meeting.
Since Grant opened the door for DECA, I'll take just 1 second, and I think of the many things that I learned in coaching over the years is don't take yourself too seriously and stay out of the way of the kids, because they'll shine, and that's exactly what's happening with DECA. That you know, I can facilitate, I can organize, and they are on their own preparing and getting themselves ready. And 10 of the 16 students that attended the district competition qualified for the state competition in DECA. So kudos to them for putting the work into it and representing our little district. Again, I put out there that it's Owatonna and Albert Lee and Austin and Mankato East and Mankato West and Waseca and NRHEG and Pine Island, the two little schools that are in our district. And I think there's over 400 students involved, and having 10 students qualify. 2 of the students finished first in their event, and it's either like the top 4 or the top 8 that qualify for their event. And again, we had 2 individuals qualify and come in first place, and 1 team qualified and came in first place in their event. So fantastic job for those students. I wanted to make recognition or announcement that it is Paraprofessional Week. You can see there's a sign here too, and I know Sue's got some things lined up to recognize the paras. This is the week that we're in now. And we'll put out some announcements, and there'll be some treats and whatnot. But if you have a chance to greet or email or let the paras know, we appreciate all they do. I'll hit on the other thing that Grant talked about here, the band room, and kudos it should be recognized too, Scott Schuler for his work and everything, and all the jumping around and keeping that going for 7 months after it was supposed to be done, and Mr. Schaefer, the band director, for his patience and flexibility to move around and jump around and wait, and finally it's done. And I would also say kudos to probably Terry the most, but the Building and Grounds Committee for overriding my veto on the new cabinets. That said, no, we're not putting those crummy cabinets back in here, and it was a very wise choice. That they look great, and that room does look fantastic. So Dan Schmidt stopped me this afternoon and just wanted to plant the seed that last fall he had come and talked about the bus purchasing and kind of the rotation to be into, and we have 2 buses ordered. The financing part we have to figure out yet, if it's going to lease or if it's going to if we're going to lease them or if we're going to purchase them, and those decisions will be made here in the next couple of months. Just a reminder that we will be putting together that study session for the budget preparation, and again, that's coming up. We know that's upon us. We know right now that we're looking at the inflationary rate as the increase to our state funding, but as a budget year in legislature, there could be more funds coming our way, and so we'll really not know the solid numbers until legislation is over. We're not expecting any additional funds, but we can always keep our fingers crossed. So kind of, again, depending on where things go and what happens, if we have a study session in February yet, or if we wait and have it prior and a little bit later in March before our March session. We'll just kind of see where things are going, but be prepared for that. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped right over. I started the transportation that, so today he said, plant the seed that if we are going to have a rotation and keep our, the old buses, get them out and get new buses in, we're probably, maybe even this spring, need to approve the next purchase. Because that would be, we would get that bus then the summer of '26. So it'd be over a year kind of process, to approve it, to purchase it, and have it delivered and everything like that. So I said, like, oh man, we just did that. gonna be kind of tough to come back a few months later and say, let's approve another purchase of a bus or potentially vans, and suggested that we get our transportation committee together here in the next couple, or few weeks anyways, to kind of look that over, talk about that, and really kind of establish what type of cycle we want to get ourselves into, and obviously dealing with the funding and everything that goes with it. The tricky part again is we're doing things a year, maybe a year and a half in advance. So it seems quick and boom, 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 but to have Dan come and speak with us and kind of explain that in more detail, I think would be beneficial, so. Transportation committees, I should have looked that up before I came. Two of you? There should be a third, or whoever it is, but.
I might
I
be.
think Rick's on
I
there too.
think I'm on it
Yeah,
too,
Rick's
yeah.
on there too.
Yep.
Okay.
And the 2 new buses that are on order
We'll be here.
will be here when? Any, that?
Summer?
This fall?
Summer?
Summer.
Prior to the
Okay.
start of the school year.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah, that was, 9 months.
Yeah.
We approved it sometime in the fall, and we'll get those in the
Mhm.
summertime.
All right. Anything else this evening?
One more, got a letter from South Central Service Co-op that they have vacancies on their board of directors, and any member district that currently does not have a board member on the South Central Service Co-op board, we're open to having someone file and run for a board position on that co-op. So if anyone's interested in more information or wants to look into what that all entails, we have until, I believe it's sometime in March 5th to have a nomination. So contact me or speak with me, and we can find out more information on what that entails. I think it's a every other month evening meeting, so it's a time commitment. And then they also have different committees that their board of directors serve on, so if you're up for that, or again want some more information, let me know, and we can represent and have a say in what happens in our service cooperative. I don't know if we've had anyone in the past, if
I don't know. Anyone that's-
historians know.
That I'm familiar with, I guess.
Okay.
It's a good service and it's a great system that they run there, so
Yeah.
representation would be excellent if anyone's willing to make the time commitment, but we use them quite regularly or.
Yeah, I think Angie does a lot with them, and the tech services, principals, if you've got different services that we get from them, and our workforce coordinator, Pam Krill, was out of South Central, superintendent stuff. We're actually kind of on that border where I get a lot of information from, I suppose, the Southeast Service Co-op
Sure.
out of Rochester, that we're right on that line. We
Yeah.
could go either way, and I think what typically that with our activities region, that's more of a fit, and so
Sure.
I have always gone more with South Central, but we could go either way. That's all I have for a report.
Great. Thank you. Are there any board member comments this evening? I would just like to start by thanking everyone that was able to attend the convention. I think it was a time well spent. Enjoyed the company and the educational part of it also. So thank you everyone that participated. And Kelly, we hope to have you join sometime when your schedule allows, but we understand your commitments there too. So thank you for that. Mr. Mayak has made it known to the entire board here on a situation with his health insurance due to the fact that The district has changed companies in mid-season, I will call it, but the calendar year doesn't necessarily always line up with the school year. So we had a situation where there was a deductible that kind of got split in the middle of the season. His contract, after reviewing his contract, clearly states that his health costs are covered by the district. So in honor of that contract verbiage, there will be compensation reimbursing him his personal costs of the deductible that he paid for out of his own pocket. So nothing that needs to be amended in the contract. It is very clearly stated. We actually did contact some people to make sure that we were reading it properly. And if there are any further questions on that, I thought he did a nice job of describing that in the newsletter. So hopefully everyone is comfortable with that and understands that. And if not, either reach out to myself or Mr. Mayak himself. So that is all I have here. If there's nothing else, we'll move on. The information and communications, the next meeting, we know that we have the first two of the year that run into a conflict, so that will be moved, or is moved to Tuesday, February 20th, and that will be at the Secondary School Media Center in Richland at 6:30 p.m. Takes us over to the consent agenda items.
I believe it's Tuesday the 18th.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, no, I think we
Okay,
had that clarification at our
okay.
organizational meeting, but
Apologize there. It's
so,
it's a Tuesday.
yep,
You got the
let's
right.
move
I
back
got that
one
right,
day.
and I got 6:30 right, so. Takes us to the consent agenda items, and if you would introduce us, Mr. Mayak, I'd appreciate it.
I will give our normal disclaimer that the board has been furnished with background materials on items included in the consent agenda, or it has been discussed at previous meetings. These items will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, we will pull it out of the consent agenda and vote on it separately. Before a vote on the consent agenda is called for, let me take a moment here to recognize the donation that was made to our district this past month. We had a $208 donation from NRHEG track boosters for weight room equipment. And we have a year-to-date now of $52,077.12. And with that, I'd ask for your approval on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Herkey, seconded by Ms. Tyre to approve the consent agenda items as presented. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, we have the review of policy 503, the student attendance. Mr. Mayak?
And this was a policy that wasn't required for this year, but after we selected a few that we were going to go through with a little bit more diligence to make sure that they fit what we're actually doing. This was the first time our policy committee met, and we reviewed this 503, and I believe it was 610. And we approved the 610 policy at our December meeting, I think it was, and tabled this 503 with the understanding that there are some significant changes that are needed. But after Mr. Berg and Mr. Kopetsky kind of went through that, the policy itself is kind of generic enough, and the umbrella of that policy is appropriate. Some of the more details on what's exactly included in a excused absent or unexcused absent, or what happens after so many, would be more information that's pertinent to the student handbook. And that handbook then comes to you obviously every summer as well, and gets reviewed and approved by the school board. So after looking that way, it has been decided that we would keep the 503 policy basically as is, and then have those changes identified and laid out more in the student handbooks. So we still have to approve, since we kind of opened the door and had the first reading, that I would ask for your approval on the second reading, which is oftentimes the case where we just approve it as is with the current language.
Just a couple questions on there. How often has that been adjusted, or not that it matters really, but
The policy itself,
right,
or kind
the
of
503.
What's the cycle of policies, Sue, is every few years, depending on, there could be some of those simple little changes from this word to that word.
Okay,
I guess we could pull it up and
yeah, they're
see.
saying
All right, that's right there,
2019. so,
2019.
And the policies that are mandatory, you review it once a year.
yep. Okay,
And then right under where it says revise, it says it is mandatory and when the last time it was
Okay.
reviewed by you.
but the principals are comfortable with where we're at here for the time being. This is the important part. You're the ones dealing with the attendance, so please keep that accurate to what works with our system if you can, please.
So then I just have a question, so then all the stuff that you went through, Grant, and kind of rewrote and changed, we're not doing that now?
That will be amended in the handbook.
That will be in the okay, all right,
Yeah, that's not part of the policy, that's just part of the handbook.
okay, I get it, thank you.
That's where I was losing a little bit of that too. I thought there were some things that,
There is some, again, it's generic enough and it's encompassing of different things, but
Sure.
the finer details,
Yeah.
again, is a family trip considered
Got
a
it.
excused or unexcused, is a hair appointment at
Right.
prom week, is that an unexcused or
Right.
excused? That would
Good
be
luck
more of
with that
a
one.
handbook type of a explanation rather than the policy.
okay, great, thank you. So what we're looking for here is a motion to approve the review of policy 503 is and
Correct.
accepting
For
it
the second reading.
as presented.
Yep.
Motion to approve policy 503 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Erke, seconded by Ms. Engel to approve policy 503 as presented. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes our business for this evening. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Also move.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Schoenrock, seconded by Ms. Tyer to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you everyone for coming.